There's something profound that happens when we truly understand pain. Not the surface level understanding most people have, but the deeper truth that changes everything. What I'm about to share might feel uncomfortable at first, then liberating, and finally, transformative. Most of us have been taught to see pain as the enemy of a good life, something to avoid, medicate, or eliminate at all costs. But what if everything you've been told about pain is not just wrong, but actually keeping you trapped in a life that's smaller, safer, and far less meaningful than what's possible for you? The people who live truly great lives, not just comfortable or successful lives, but deeply fulfilling, impactful, extraordinary lives, understand something about pain that the rest of us are missing. They've discovered that pain isn't the opposite of a great life, it's the pathway to one. Stay with me, because this understanding will transform not just how you handle difficult moments, but how you approach every decision, every opportunity, and every challenge that shapes who you become. The pain paradox. Have you ever noticed how the more you try to avoid pain, the more you seem to suffer? There's something happening beneath the surface that most of us miss because we're focused on immediate comfort instead of understanding what pain is actually trying to teach us. Picture this. You're at a crossroads in your life. Maybe it's a career decision, a relationship choice, or a personal challenge that's been weighing on you. You have two options in front of you. One path feels safe, familiar, and relatively painless. The other path feels uncertain, demanding, and inevitably involves discomfort, struggle, and the possibility of failure. Which do you choose? If you're like most people, you instinctively gravitate toward the comfortable option. You tell yourself you're being practical, realistic, smart. Why choose pain when you could choose ease? Why risk failure when you could guarantee comfort? Why face uncertainty when you could stay with what's familiar? So you take the safe path, and for a while it feels good. You congratulate yourself on avoiding unnecessary struggle. You feel relieved that you don't have to deal with the stress, the uncertainty, the potential for disappointment that the other path would have brought. But then something strange happens. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and a different kind of pain begins to emerge. It's subtler than the sharp discomfort you avoided, but it's more persistent. It's the dull ache of regret, the gnawing sense that you're living below your potential, the growing awareness that you've chosen safety over significance. Here's what's really happening. You're operating under the illusion that you can avoid pain entirely, when the truth is that life offers you two fundamental types of pain: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret, the pain of growth or the pain of stagnation, the pain of pushing your limits or the pain of living within them. I understand this completely. We live in a culture that promises comfort, convenience, and instant gratification. Every advertisement, every app, every modern innovation is designed to eliminate friction, reduce effort, and make life easier. So when we encounter situations that require sustained discomfort or delayed gratification, our conditioning tells us something has gone wrong. But what if the problem isn't that pain exists in your life? What if the problem is that you've been taught to see pain as your enemy instead of recognizing it as the inevitable companion of everything worth having? The truth is that every great achievement, every meaningful relationship, every moment of genuine fulfillment in your life has been preceded by some form of pain. The pain of learning something difficult, the pain of facing your fears, the pain of growing beyond who you used to be. Think about a time when you accomplished something you were truly proud of. I guarantee that achievement involved discomfort, struggle, uncertainty, or sacrifice. The pain wasn't an unfortunate side effect of your success, it was an essential ingredient in creating it. What if instead of trying to avoid pain, you could learn to choose it consciously?
What if you could develop the wisdom to distinguish between the pain that destroys and the pain that creates, between the pain that diminishes you and the pain that transforms you? When was the last time you asked yourself, what would I attempt if I weren't afraid of the discomfort it might involve? What dreams have I abandoned not because they were impossible, but because they would require me to grow beyond my current comfort zone? These questions point towards something revolutionary: the possibility of embracing pain not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a teacher to be honored, and a pathway to greatness. Over the following months, Elena began what she called her pain apprenticeship. Instead of automatically choosing the comfortable option, she started asking herself, what would the person I want to become choose in this situation? She left her corporate law job to start her own practice, focusing on cases she actually cared about, even though it meant financial uncertainty and long hours building something from scratch. She ended a relationship that was comfortable but unfulfilling, even though it meant being alone and facing her fears about whether she could find true love. She started training for a marathon, even though she had never been athletic, and the training was grueling. Each of these choices involved significant pain: financial stress, loneliness, physical exhaustion, the constant discomfort of being a beginner at things that mattered to her. But for the first time in years, Elena felt truly alive. I finally understand, she told me months later. I thought pain was the enemy of a good life, but it's actually the price of admission to a great one. Every time I choose the difficult path over the easy one, I become more myself. Every time I push through discomfort instead of avoiding it, I discover capabilities I never knew I had. The transformation was remarkable. Elena didn't just achieve external success in her new ventures, she developed an inner strength and confidence that radiated into every area of her life. She learned to trust herself because she had evidence of her ability to handle whatever challenges arose. Most importantly, she discovered that the pain she had been avoiding wasn't actually her enemy. It was her teacher. Each difficult experience had revealed something important about her values, her resilience, her capacity for growth. The discomfort she had feared was actually the raw material for becoming the person she was meant to be. This reveals something profound. The people who live great lives haven't learned to avoid pain. They've learned to choose it wisely. They understand that pain is not the opposite of happiness, but the pathway to the kind of deep fulfillment that comes from living authentically and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. While most people try to minimize discomfort and maximize comfort, those who create extraordinary lives learn to optimize for growth, meaning, and authentic self-expression, knowing that these always require temporary pain in service of lasting fulfillment. Think of how a sculptor creates a masterpiece. They don't avoid the difficulty of chipping away at hard stone. They embrace it as the only way to reveal the beauty hidden within. Every strike of the chisel involves resistance, effort, and the destruction of the stone's original form. But this painful process is what transforms raw material into art. This is what it means to understand pain as the price of a great life. Recognizing that the very experiences you've been avoiding might be exactly what you need to become who you're meant to be. The sacred truth. Here's what transforms everything about pain. It's not a punishment for wanting something better. It's the universe's way of ensuring you're strong enough to handle what you're asking for.
Most people see pain as evidence that something has gone wrong, that they've made a mistake, or that they should give up and choose an easier path. But what if I told you that pain is actually life's quality control system, ensuring that the most meaningful experiences and achievements are only accessible to those who have developed the strength and character to handle them wisely? Think about it. Would you want your surgeon to have learned their skills through comfortable, easy experiences, or through years of demanding training that pushed them to their limits? Would you want your romantic partner to be someone who had never faced adversity and learned to persist through difficulty, or someone who had been tested by life and proven their commitment? The pain you experience while pursuing something meaningful isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature. It's the process by which you develop the qualities necessary to be worthy of what you're seeking. This is why lottery winners often end up bankrupt and miserable. They receive the external rewards without going through the internal development that creates the wisdom, discipline, and character needed to handle those rewards responsibly. They get the prize without paying the price, and the mismatch destroys them. But here's what most people miss. The pain itself isn't what creates value. It's how you respond to the pain that determines whether it becomes a pathway to greatness or just meaningless suffering. Destructive pain is pain you resist, avoid, or allow to make you bitter and smaller. It's the pain that comes from poor choices, self-destructive habits, or refusing to learn from your experiences. This kind of pain doesn't lead to growth. It leads to cycles of suffering that keep you trapped. Constructive pain is pain you choose consciously in service of something larger than your immediate comfort. It's the pain that comes from pushing your limits, facing your fears, and doing what's necessary even when it's difficult. This kind of pain transforms you, strengthens you, and creates the foundation for extraordinary outcomes. The difference isn't in the intensity of the pain, it's in your relationship to it. When you understand pain as the price you pay for growth, for meaning, for becoming who you're meant to be, it stops being your enemy and becomes your ally. This is why the most fulfilled people you know aren't those who have avoided difficulty, but those who have learned to dance with it. They've developed what I call pain wisdom, the ability to distinguish between productive and destructive discomfort, and the courage to choose the former even when it's challenging. They understand that the highest forms of happiness don't come from the absence of pain, but from the presence of meaning. That the deepest satisfaction comes not from comfort, but from the knowledge that you're growing, contributing, and expressing your authentic self, regardless of the temporary discomfort involved. While most people spend their energy trying to eliminate pain from their lives, masters spend their energy learning to relate to pain skillfully, knowing that this relationship determines the quality and depth of everything they create.
Like a river that becomes more powerful as it encounters resistance from rocks and bends in its path, you become stronger and more capable when you learn to work with the obstacles and challenges in your life rather than simply trying to avoid them. This is the sacred truth about pain. It's not the enemy of a great life. It's the price of admission. And once you understand this, everything changes about how you approach your dreams, your challenges, and your potential. Foundation 1. Recognition. Before you can transform your relationship with pain, you must learn to recognize the difference between the pain that serves you and the pain that diminishes you. This recognition is the foundation of all wise choices about where to invest your energy and how to respond to difficulty. Productive pain has several distinct characteristics. It's connected to your values and chosen goals rather than imposed by circumstances or other people's expectations. It feels challenging but manageable, stretching you without breaking you. It comes with a sense of purpose and direction, even when the path is difficult. Most importantly, productive pain leads to growth. After experiencing it, you're stronger, wiser, or more capable than before. You have new skills, deeper understanding, or expanded capacity for handling future challenges. The discomfort was an investment that paid dividends in personal development. Destructive pain, by contrast, feels purposeless and endless. It comes from resisting reality, making choices that violate your values, or staying in situations that consistently drain your energy without offering growth opportunities. This kind of pain doesn't make you stronger, it makes you bitter, cynical, or numb. The key distinction is that productive pain is voluntary, while destructive pain is usually the result of avoiding necessary but uncomfortable choices. When you procrastinate on important work, you create the destructive pain of stress and self-criticism. When you stay in toxic relationships to avoid the discomfort of being alone, you create ongoing emotional damage. But when you choose to have a difficult conversation to improve a relationship, you experience productive pain that leads to deeper connection. When you push yourself through a challenging workout, you experience productive pain that builds strength and confidence. Learning this recognition requires honest self-examination. What sources of pain in your current life are actually the result of avoiding necessary changes or growth opportunities? What discomfort are you creating through resistance rather than acceptance? Start noticing your internal dialogue when you encounter difficulty. Do you immediately look for ways to escape or avoid the situation? Do you tell yourself stories about why you shouldn't have to deal with this challenge? Or do you ask yourself what you can learn from the experience and how it might contribute to your growth? This recognition also involves understanding your patterns around comfort seeking. Are you chronically choosing the easy path even when you know the more difficult option would serve your long-term goals better? Are you optimizing your life for convenience rather than meaning? Most people never develop this recognition because they're operating on autopilot, automatically avoiding discomfort without questioning whether that avoidance is actually serving them. But once you begin to distinguish between productive and destructive pain, you can start making more conscious choices about which experiences to embrace and which to change.
The goal isn't to seek out pain for its own sake, but to stop being controlled by the fear of it. When you can recognize pain as potentially valuable information rather than always interpreting it as danger, you open up possibilities that were previously invisible to you. This foundation takes time to develop because it requires overriding years of conditioning that equates comfort with good and discomfort with bad. But as you practice this recognition, you'll begin to see opportunities for growth where you previously saw only problems to avoid. Foundation 2. Choice. Once you can recognize different types of pain, the next foundation involves learning to make conscious choices about which pain to accept in your life. This is perhaps the most empowering realization you can have. You're always choosing pain. The only question is which type. The illusion that you can avoid pain entirely is what keeps most people trapped in lives of quiet desperation. They think they're choosing comfort over discomfort, but what they're actually choosing is the pain of regret over the pain of growth, the pain of stagnation over the pain of challenge. Understanding this changes everything. Instead of asking, how can I avoid pain? You start asking, what kind of pain do I want to experience? Instead of being a victim of whatever difficulties arise, you become the conscious architect of your challenges. This doesn't mean being reckless or choosing unnecessary hardship. It means recognizing that every significant area of your life involves trade-offs, and that attempting to optimize for short-term comfort usually creates long-term suffering. In relationships, you can choose the pain of vulnerability and difficult conversations, or you can choose the pain of superficial connections and emotional distance. In your career, you can choose the pain of taking risks and facing potential failure, or you can choose the pain of wondering what you could have accomplished if you had been braver. In your health, you can choose the pain of discipline and delayed gratification, or you can choose the pain of declining vitality and the limitations that come with neglecting your body. In your personal growth, you can choose the pain of facing your fears and examining your patterns, or you can choose the pain of staying trapped in behaviors that don't serve you. The key is learning to think in longer time horizons. The pain of discipline feels heavy in the moment, but becomes lighter over time as it builds strength and competence. The pain of regret feels light initially, but becomes heavier over time as missed opportunities accumulate. Conscious choice also involves what I call pain budgeting, recognizing that you have limited capacity for handling difficulty and making strategic decisions about where to invest that capacity. If you're going through a challenging transition in your career, it might not be the ideal time to also tackle major changes in your relationships or living situation. This isn't about avoiding all challenge, but about being thoughtful about which battles are worth fighting simultaneously.
Some seasons of life call for focused intensity in one area while maintaining stability in others.
Choice also means developing the courage to change course when you realize you've been accepting destructive pain out of habit or fear. Many people stay in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, or living situations that don't support their well-being simply because the familiar pain feels safer than the unknown pain of change. But conscious choice requires regular evaluation. Is this difficulty I'm experiencing serving my growth and my values, or am I just suffering out of inertia? Am I being brave by persisting through this challenge, or am I being cowardly by not making necessary changes? The most successful people aren't those who avoid all pain, but those who have developed excellent judgment about which pain to embrace and which to eliminate from their lives. They understand that every yes is also a no to something else, and they make these trade-offs consciously rather than by default. Foundation 3. Engagement. Knowing how to recognize and choose productive pain is valuable, but transformation happens when you learn to engage with that pain skillfully rather than just enduring it. This foundation is about developing the attitudes and practices that allow you to extract maximum value from difficult experiences. Skillful engagement begins with shifting from resistance to curiosity. When you encounter pain, your instinct is often to tense up, push against it, or try to rush through it as quickly as possible. But this resistance actually amplifies suffering while preventing you from learning what the experience has to teach you. Instead, you can learn to approach pain with genuine curiosity. What is this difficulty revealing about your current limitations? What strength is it calling forth from you? What would it look like to move through this challenge with grace rather than just grinding through it? This curiosity doesn't mean being passive or accepting harm. It means being actively engaged with your experience rather than disassociated from it. When you're fully present with pain rather than trying to escape it mentally, you often discover that it's more workable than you imagined. Skillful engagement also involves what athletes call embracing the suck, learning to find satisfaction and even joy in the process of pushing through difficulty rather than only valuing the outcome. When you can appreciate the sensation of your muscles working hard during exercise, the mental challenge of solving complex problems, or the emotional intensity of having important conversations, the pain transforms from something you endure to something you engage with actively. This doesn't mean pretending that pain feels good or forcing false positivity. It means finding genuine appreciation for the growth that's happening within the difficulty. You can simultaneously acknowledge that something is challenging and be grateful for the opportunity to develop new capacities. Another aspect of skillful engagement is learning to regulate your nervous system during stressful experiences. When you encounter pain, your body's stress response can either support you in rising to the challenge or overwhelm you and shut down your capacity for clear thinking and effective action. Practices like conscious breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, or brief meditation can help you stay present and resourceful during difficult experiences rather than being hijacked by fear or overwhelm. The goal isn't to eliminate the stress response, but to work with it skillfully.
Engagement also involves maintaining connection to your larger purpose during painful experiences. When you remember why you're choosing to go through something difficult, whether it's to build strength, create something meaningful, or serve something larger than yourself, the pain becomes more bearable because it has context and meaning. Without this larger framework, pain just feels like random suffering. With it, pain becomes a meaningful part of a larger story of growth and contribution. This shift in narrative can transform your entire experience of difficulty. Finally, skillful engagement includes learning to ask for support when you need it. Choosing to go through pain doesn't mean going through it alone. Having people who understand your journey and can offer encouragement, perspective, or practical help can make the difference between giving up and persisting through challenging periods. The goal of this foundation is to develop such skill in working with pain that you begin to trust your ability to handle whatever challenges arise in pursuit of what matters to you. This trust is what allows you to take bigger risks and pursue more meaningful goals, knowing that you have the internal resources to navigate whatever difficulties emerge. Foundation 4. Integration. The final foundation involves learning to integrate the lessons and strength gained from painful experiences so that they compound over time, rather than being forgotten or wasted. This integration is what transforms isolated moments of difficulty into lasting wisdom and resilience. Integration begins with reflection and meaning-making. After you've moved through a challenging experience, take time to consciously extract the insights it offered. What did you learn about yourself, your strengths, your patterns, your values? What strategies worked well for managing the difficulty, and what would you do differently next time? This reflection isn't just intellectual analysis. It's about consciously absorbing the evidence of your capabilities. Many people go through difficult experiences but don't fully take in their own competence, so they approach the next challenge with the same limiting beliefs they started with. Keep a record of your wins, no matter how small. When you're facing a new challenge, you can remind yourself of previous difficulties you've successfully navigated. This creates a positive feedback loop where each challenge you overcome makes you more confident about handling future ones. Integration also involves updating your identity based on evidence of your growing capacity. If you've successfully started the business despite the fear and uncertainty involved, you're not just someone who happened to start a business. You're someone who can handle the unknown and create something from nothing. If you've persisted through a difficult period in the relationship and emerged with deeper connection, you're not just lucky to have worked things out. You're someone who can navigate complexity and conflict with love and skill. These identity updates are crucial because they change how you see yourself and what you believe is possible for you. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who avoids difficulty, you begin to see yourself as someone who grows stronger through appropriate challenges. Integration also involves recognizing patterns across different types of painful experiences. The patience you develop while learning a difficult skill transfers to other areas where persistence is required. The emotional regulation you build during one crisis serves you in all future stressful situations. This cross-training effect is one of the most powerful aspects of consciously engaging with pain. You're not just getting better at handling specific types of challenges, you're developing meta skills that apply universally. Another aspect of integration is learning to celebrate the process rather than just the outcome. Most people only acknowledge their strength after they've completely overcome a challenge. But real integration involves recognizing your courage and persistence while you're still in the middle of difficulty. This present moment acknowledgement of your efforts creates resilience and motivation that helps you persist through challenges, rather than waiting until after they're resolved to give yourself credit. Integration also means sharing your experiences with others in ways that contribute to their growth. When you transform your painful experiences into wisdom that can help others navigate similar challenges, the pain gains additional meaning and purpose. This doesn't mean constantly talking about your problems, but rather thoughtfully sharing insights and encouragement that can help others recognize their own strength and potential for growth. Finally, integration involves gratitude for the ways that pain has contributed to your development. This doesn't mean being grateful for trauma or unnecessary suffering, but recognizing how the challenges you've chosen to face have made you stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. This gratitude isn't forced positivity. It's authentic appreciation for the person you've become through your willingness to grow beyond what was comfortable or familiar. When you can genuinely appreciate the role that pain has played in your development, you stop seeing it as your enemy and start seeing it as one of your most valuable teachers. The advanced practice. As you develop skill with the 4 foundations, several advanced practices will help you maintain this perspective even during the most challenging periods and continue growing from whatever difficulties arise. Learn to distinguish between clean pain and dirty pain. Clean pain is the unavoidable discomfort that comes from facing reality and making necessary changes. Dirty pain is the additional suffering you create through resistance, self-judgment, or avoiding what needs to be addressed. When you lose a job, the clean pain is the genuine sadness and uncertainty about the future. The dirty pain is the self-criticism about how you should have seen it coming, the catastrophic thinking about worst-case scenarios, or the bitter resentment that keeps you stuck in victim mentality. Learning to experience clean pain without adding layers of dirty pain dramatically reduces your overall suffering while allowing you to process challenges more effectively and move forward more quickly. Develop what I call pain stamina, the ability to persist through extended periods of difficulty without losing your center or your sense of purpose. Just as physical stamina allows you to maintain effort over time, pain stamina allows you to stay resourceful and focused during long-term challenges. This involves pacing yourself, maintaining practices that restore your energy, and having realistic expectations about how long certain types of growth or change might take. It also means developing patience with the process rather than trying to rush through or skip steps.
Practice productive pessimism by anticipating likely challenges and preparing for them mentally and practically. This isn't negative thinking, it's realistic planning that prevents you from being blindsided when difficulties arise. When you're starting a new venture, assume there will be setbacks and have strategies for handling them. When you're working on personal change, expect resistance and have support systems in place. This preparation doesn't guarantee smooth sailing, but it does ensure you won't be derailed by predictable obstacles. Cultivate what researchers call anti-fragility, the ability to get stronger from stress rather than just surviving it. This involves actively looking for ways that challenges can contribute to your growth rather than just trying to minimize their impact. When you encounter criticism, instead of just defending yourself, ask what valid points might help you improve. When you face a setback, instead of just recovering, ask what this experience can teach you about building better systems or making wiser choices in the future. Learn to metabolize pain into wisdom through regular practices of reflection, journaling, or discussion with trusted advisors. Raw experience only becomes valuable when it's processed and integrated into your understanding of yourself and the world. Create rituals around difficult transitions that help you extract meaning and mark your growth. This might involve writing about what you've learned, sharing your insights with others, or creating some form of celebration that acknowledges your persistence and development. These advanced practices help ensure that your willingness to engage with pain continues to serve your growth, rather than becoming either an avoidance of necessary action or an addiction to drama and crisis. The complete transformation. As you integrate these understandings and practices, something profound happens that extends far beyond improved resilience or better problem-solving skills. You begin to experience what I call existential fearlessness, a deep confidence that you can handle whatever life brings and use it for your continued evolution. This transformation touches every aspect of your life. Your relationships deepen because you're willing to have difficult conversations and face uncomfortable truths rather than maintaining superficial harmony. Your work becomes more meaningful because you're willing to take creative risks and persist through the inevitable challenges of creating something valuable. Your personal growth accelerates because you no longer avoid the experiences that would stretch you beyond your current limitations. You begin to see setbacks as information rather than failures, criticism as data rather than attacks, and uncertainty as possibility rather than threat. Perhaps most importantly, you develop what I call pain confidence, the knowledge that you can move through any difficulty and emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. This confidence allows you to pursue dreams and goals that would have seemed impossible when you were still controlled by the fear of discomfort. You stop making decisions based primarily on what will be easy or comfortable, and start making them based on what will contribute to your growth and allow you to express your highest values. This shift from comfort optimization to growth optimization changes everything about the trajectory of your life. Your stress levels actually decrease because you're no longer fighting against the natural challenges of growth and change. Instead of being surprised and defeated by difficulties, you expect them as natural parts of any meaningful endeavor and have proven strategies for working with them effectively.
You develop genuine compassion for others who are struggling because you understand that their pain, like yours, is often the price they're paying for attempting to grow beyond their current limitations. This compassion extends to yourself as well. You stop judging yourself harshly for having difficulties and start appreciating your courage for facing them. The quality of your achievements improves because they're forged through genuine challenge rather than achieved through shortcuts or avoidance. You develop what athletes call earned confidence, self-assurance based on proven ability to persist through difficulty rather than just hope that things will work out easily. Most significantly, you begin to experience what Viktor Frankl called meaningful suffering. The recognition that your willingness to face pain in service of something larger than yourself is one of the most profound expressions of human freedom and dignity. Your pain stops being random suffering and becomes conscious participation in your own evolution. You realize that your capacity to choose productive pain over comfortable stagnation is one of your greatest powers and most important responsibilities. The ultimate understanding. The deepest understanding about pain being the price of a great life is that it's not really about the pain at all. It's about what the willingness to face pain reveals about your character and what it makes possible in terms of contribution and growth. When you truly understand this, you realize that the goal isn't to seek out pain for its own sake or to glorify suffering. The goal is to develop such clarity about what matters to you and such confidence in your ability to handle challenges that you're no longer limited by the fear of discomfort. This freedom from the tyranny of comfort seeking opens up possibilities that were previously invisible. You can pursue relationships that require vulnerability. You can take on work that stretches your capabilities. You can make choices based on your values rather than your fears. You begin to see that every moment of pain you've avoided in the past was actually a moment of growth you declined. Every challenge you've sidestepped was an opportunity to discover new aspects of your strength and resilience. This perspective doesn't create regret about past choices, it creates tremendous enthusiasm for future possibilities. When you're no longer controlled by the need to avoid discomfort, every day becomes an opportunity to become more of who you're meant to be. The people who understand this truth don't live lives free of pain. They live lives rich with meaning. They don't avoid struggle, they choose their struggles consciously. They don't escape difficulty, they transform it into wisdom, strength, and contribution. This is the ultimate understanding about pain being the price of a great life. It's not that you must suffer to be happy, but that your willingness to face necessary suffering in service of growth and meaning is what allows you to access the deepest forms of fulfillment available to human beings. When you master this relationship with pain, you discover that you're far more resilient, capable, and free than you ever imagined. The limitations you thought were permanent features of your life become temporary obstacles that dissolve through conscious engagement with appropriate challenges. Your future becomes something you actively create through willingness to pay the price of growth, rather than something that happens to you based on what feels comfortable in the moment. And that shift from passive comfort seeking to active meaning making changes everything about the quality and impact of your existence. True greatness isn't the absence of pain, it's the transformation of pain into purpose, struggle into strength, and temporary discomfort into lasting contribution. When you understand this, you don't just survive your challenges, you use them to become the person the world needs you to be.